Hi, it's Winton Churchill with the Barefoot Consultants, and I'd like to welcome you to our Facebook Friday. Today, we're going to be talking about an article that recently came out, an estimate from a survey that said that there's going to be 10 million more freelancers in the marketplace pretty soon. We're going to go into that article and talk a little bit about what's happening there with that. And in some of our programs for our members, the questions come up, well, won't that create a lot more competition for people that are already trying to freelance? And the answer is absolutely not. It creates much more opportunity than would have otherwise been on the table beforehand. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're also going to talk about this thing called the Great Resignation. There's this phenomenon of people going back to work and being locked up, in their homes, working from homes. And they go back to work and they do it for about 2 weeks. And then they say, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to work from home. And I'm going to work from home even if I can't do it with the company that I'm working for. I'm going to go find some other company to work with. And so some interesting wrinkles there. Good to see Marianne. We got a lot of folks coming on the line. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. It always enjoy when you pop in where you're calling in from, just to know where that is. Let me see if I can get the little comment thing turned on, or the banner thing, I guess it is. There we go. Excellent. The comment window. Excellent. So yes, there was this article that popped out. Let me call it up here. I got it down here in the brand area of things. This is, there we go. Let's see if we get that. Okay. So this is an article from Forbes magazine. They do a great job of following the freelance area, and they're talking about how the freelance workforce could increase by 10 million, and what that means for employers. And when you contrast that with this other article that we've seen, and I can share that article too. 1 second. There we go. That this thing called the Great Resignation, Microsoft's predicting they're going to see about 41% attrition in a portion of their workforce. That people that just like working freelance, they figured out how to do it over the last year, and they're going to bail out. They might go back and work part-time for Microsoft. They might go out and work part-time for other companies. And so this article goes into how they plan to adjust and build around it. And so that's what we're gonna be seeing there as time goes on. And so just know that we're in a time of incredible disruption. And I used to work for some companies like Oracle and Sun Microsystems and Apple. And when we sold a big project to a corporation or a government agency, the cost of the computer hardware might be, say, $2 million. And the cost of the services that go along with that to make sure everything gets hooked up and everything goes well is $3 million. So the cost of all that is more than the cost of the hardware. Well, every time there's a big disruption in an industry, there's lots of opportunity. People think that opportunity is narrowed, and certainly it's unfortunate what's happened, but it hasn't narrowed. There's all kinds of opportunity that's available now that wasn't available before. And what I saw year after year is, if it was some kind of oil crisis or financial crisis or energy crisis or whatever it might be, 9/11, that it created a whole long list of problems that needed to be solved. And usually those are solved by human beings that know how to solve problems. And it seemed not to fit, but it just happened virtually every time. Same is true with freelancing. Doesn't happen in every industry and in every case, but it does happen with things like consulting, which freelancing really is a form of consulting in a way. It's bringing your freelancer problem solving skills into a place that has lots of problems, may not know where to start, may know exactly where to start, but know that they need some extra help to get there, that kind of thing. So very interested in having that freelance arrow in their quiver that many companies didn't have before. So many companies thought that we had to have our employees in our buildings, or they would steal from us. If we let them work at home, they would goof off. There were just all these preconceived notions of what would happen. And now it's, the cat's out of the bag. There's been lots of research that said that employees got more work done working at home than they did working at work. Most employees and employers felt like they gained an extra 2 hours of productive work, 2 to 3 hours actually in some cases. So lots of good stuff coming out of this huge series of shifts in the freelancer workforce. So there's kind of this idea of 10 million people going into freelancing. These are people that have jobs now, and every job, you have your core part of your job, the thing that you do 60, 70% of the time. But then you have maybe 20 or 30% where you're moving projects along, you're keeping up with paperwork, even if it is electronic paperwork. You're doing HR activities, maybe. There's all kinds of different things. So the minute that you leave that organization, that creates a hole, not just in the job that you're doing, but in the other sort of peripheral things that you're doing around that. So this, my estimation, this is going to create tremendous demand on freelancers that know how to manage projects, that know how to manage, how to support teams of one kind or another. Also in the HR area, that know the HR rules and regulations and compliance documents and all that kind of stuff. So this is a very big, opportunity for freelancers in that regard. The other side of that is now you have 10 million people who have been employees and just left the world of employment, and now they're freelancing. And let's say they're a programmer. They know how to write program code, and they're going to go out and they're going to get freelancing jobs based on that. But they don't have any skills on how to manage their bookkeeping, how to keep up with social media or promotion if they have that. And lots of things that they don't know, even project management. They may be great coders, but now they have to be that person that's a great coder and also understands how that fits into the overall project. So lots of good opportunities there for a freelancer to come in and help those new freelancers do the parts of their business that they're not good at. And this is a very critical point of this, is to tell the person that says, oh my God, there's too much competition. Just the opposite. If you know where to look, there's increased opportunity on both sides of the equation. And so would love to answer any questions you might have about this, because I know that certainly on our Tuesday night call and some of our other calls, people are being displaced like this by this change. Their family members might be displaced. They might be moving across the country. I've talked to a number of people lately who are moving out of the city they're living in, people working at Google, and they're moving to the hinterlands because Google said you could, and And now Google's come back and said, yes, we know we said you could move to the hinterlands, but we're going to adjust your pay depending upon where you live. And if you live closer to the office and come in more frequently, we're going to pay you more. And if you live further away and come in less, we're going to pay you less, which is kind of reverberating right now and causing lots of people to be a little upset about that. But at the end of the day, it creates more work for freelancers that can do things that other people are unwilling to do, or it doesn't make sense. Some of the highest paid people on systems like Upwork are programmers. They're $150 an hour. Other groups of very highly paid people are supply chain managers. These are people that keep the supply chain moving for different companies, large and small, and they're a lot of times in the 100,000 plus category. And so it clearly makes sense for that person to spend their freelancing day doing that kind of work rather than spending work that you could get done for $15 to $20 an hour on a system like Upwork, which might be bookkeeping, might be accounting. Accounting would typically be a little bit more, but even if it's $30 an hour or $40 an hour, it's still a whole lot less than $100 an hour. I remember I had an accountant that I was talking to him actually on a weekend, and he said, "Why are you in the office?" And I said, "Well, I got a bunch of expense reports I have to finish up." And he said, "Why don't you delegate that to somebody?" And I said, "Well, I've tried and they never get it right." And so it just takes me a Saturday once every 6 weeks to come in and get all that straightened out. And he said, "Well, what do you think you make in a year? What's your time worth?" And I said something like, I don't know, $125 an hour. And he said, "Well, you now have a bookkeeper that costs you $125 an hour and maybe more because you're not very efficient as a bookkeeper. Do you think you could find somebody for less than $125 an hour who would be better at bookkeeping than you and would love to do it and would free you up to have a weekend to do what you want to do rather than what you have to do?" And that made a lot of sense. And that's about the time these freelance networks started coming along. And I said, I think I'll try this thing out. So many, many opportunities now opening up so that you can do that. A bunch of people coming in here. Let me see. Marianne is calling in from Arizona. Carefree, beautiful spot. And desert rain this week. That's neat. That's always fun. And there's Bob Herb from down in Roatan, where he's scuba diving most days. And Christopher, good to see you. I see Coronado, the Hotel Del there in the background, just over your left shoulder, one of my favorite places to go. And Christopher comments that his nephew is a supply chain guy and very good salary. We do profiles for people as a service. And one of our folks just did a profile for somebody that had supply chain experience. It wasn't the total focus of their life. It was just they had supply chain experience. And when they sent the profile in, it came back and said, "You're not asking enough." I think they were going for $80 an hour. And they said you need to be at least $100 an hour, preferably $125. So that's pretty good news to get from, that you're going to be able to work for more than anticipated. And there's Paula calling in from LA. Wonderful, wonderful place. Lived there for a number of years. And now the traffic's died down a lot, I hear. And there we go. And she's been to Carefree once. Yeah. And Marianne throwing up the cactuses there, or cacti, I guess you would call them. So lots of Lots of folks checking in for everywhere. Hope everybody's staying away from the Delta these days. That's a concern, but it looks like it might be less potent and moving through quickly. So that's what we're hoping for. I was getting ready to move back to my home in Mexico, and you know, we were coming out of the pandemic, and then all of a sudden we had about 3 weeks there where everybody was going out and not wearing masks, and then this Delta came along and created a few problems, and so hoping that that will ride right through that and move into a time when we're able to move around out there. Let's see. Oh, okay. Paula has a recent experience here. She just bid on her first job on Upwork. The job was posted 26 hours ago. I spent a few hours getting it ready, and poof, the job had already been taken. Bummer. I guess that happens sometimes. Yes, it does. That's very rare. Most sophisticated buyers want to put the job out there and let it marinate. They want to get, you know, 10, 15 good people to choose from rather than just take, you know, the first person that comes along. And so when a buyer does that, when they take a job very quickly, what I've found is that means they're really under the gun and they want very quick delivery of the services, and it puts a lot of pressure on a new freelancer. The other thing that we tell those in our program is, for most people, it takes 10 to 15 proposals before you get your first job. Now, if people follow our proposal format, they can usually get the first job faster than that. But just the average person walking onto the Upwork system or freelancer system or what have you, they're going to see that time expenditure as they get going. And hi to Nanette, and hi to David. Good to see you here as well. Thanks for coming in. So I hope that helps. Don't be discouraged. You're on the right track. You know, the hardest job to get is your first job. And the best thing to do when a job is awarded that you bid on is to bid on another job, or two or three. Bidding on 2 or 3 a week is not uncommon for people getting started. And you never want to bid a job and then not bid anything else, waiting for that job to come through. It's just a numbers game. Part of it is allowing the randomization of the universe to just do its work. Just trust in the fact that there's a good job for you out there, and that's a good thing. And so and you've got a good attitude, not giving up, and the value of writing the proposal is tremendously valuable, because the next time you see a similar job, which you could probably go on there right now and find a similar job, and you would get that job, you could get that proposal out, and you would tweak about maybe 20 or 30% of it. And now, instead of spending a couple hours, you might spend a half an hour getting that ready. And then boom, there you go. And Mary Ann has some great words of encouragement, and think of it as practice. And that becomes a template. You know, as you fine tune that, that's going to be one of your, go into your folder of winning templates I've used. So the next time you see another job like that, you can pop it up. So that's good. And Christopher's making the point about wearing masks indoors and probably being vaccinated. And wow, 3 members passed away of COVID. Certainly something to take seriously. It's odd in this. I mean, knock on wood, is that I don't know anybody that's passed as a result of COVID. But yeah, it's very, very real for some people. Let's see here. Yes, I love this hashtag. Keep bidding. Good job. Very good. And Paula says, thank you. So appreciate those good comments. And for those of you that are in our programs, freelance programs, encourage you to participate in our Facebook group. If you go back to your welcome letter, you'll see the link for that. Or if you send an email to support. So that's good. All righty. Yeah, lots of good. Yeah, 3 MDs working in the hospitals. That certainly was a high risk area. And at the beginning, obviously, no vaccine and not really understanding what caused transmissions. So, but yes, that hashtag, that's the one. Keep bidding. Keep bidding. Very good. All righty. So I hope everybody's got a lively weekend planned. Good to see Charles here. Thanks for stopping by. For those of you that have learned a little bit on this, it helps Facebook spread us around on the Facebook system to people that might benefit from this information if you give us a like. So if you're so inclined, please do that. And Christopher says he's working all weekend. That's an interesting thing that's happened. I do a lot of that myself, but it's a good way to stay busy until it's safer to get out as we go along. Yeah. All right. Yeah, spread it around like peanut butter. Keep bidding. Excellent. Perfect. All righty. Well, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. Good to see everybody here. Be sure and hit that like button on the way out, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our Tuesday night calls, or also again in our Facebook Friday next week. So have a great week freelancing, and we'll see you back here soon. Take care.